Hi, everyone. If you don't know me, my name's Ashton, and I'm a New York City-based musical theater actor, singer, musician. But I'm also a sound designer and engineer. And since auditions have become exclusively self-tapes this spring, I thought I'd offer some advice on how to get good-sounding self-tapes, since, especially for us musical theater folk, a good-sounding self-tape is just as important as a good-looking self-tape. So first, let's talk about phones and cameras. Why don't recordings ever sound as good as they do in the room? Well, that's largely due to the onboard audio processing that's happening on your device. It's actively writing levels and compressing audio as you get louder or softer in the room, which is great because it means there's not going to be any clipping or distortion. But if you're like me and like to scream your face off, sometimes it overcompensates and it lowers the overall volume so much that suddenly your tracks are inaudible. Or sometimes you might have the exact opposite problem where you're recording a ballad and everything in the room sounds perfectly balanced and you play it back and the tracks are way louder than your voice and you can barely hear yourself. So how do you get a nicely balanced self-tape without spending a bunch of money? Good news is it's actually pretty easy. All you need is a pair of earbuds. I've been using Shure's SE215s, which retail for about $100, but you do not need to spend $100 on earbuds. Literally any old earbud will do. You'll need a headphone extension cable. This is a 1/4-inch one, but you can also get them an 1/8 inch. The 1/8 inch is the smaller headphone jack that you would have on your phone. If you're using an interface, get the 1/4 inch. If you don't know what an interface is, you're going to use your computer's headphone jack, so go ahead and get the 1/8 inch extension cable. You'll also need some transport medical tape that you can pick up in any pharmacy or convenience store. If you've ever worn a wireless microphone in a show, you've used transport tape. The last thing you need is a computer program. I normally use Logic Pro, but for the purposes of this video, I'm using GarageBand because GarageBand is free on any Mac computer. So if you have a Mac, good news, you've got GarageBand. So those are all the pieces. Now, how do we use them? First, you're going to take your earbuds and you're going to decide which ear you want to hear your accompaniment tracks in. I normally choose my right ear, so I would put the right earbud in, and then I would take the jack and I'd fish it down the back of my shirt, just like I would a microphone, right? And then I would take the left earbud that I'm not using and also just stick it down the back of my shirt. Once I've done that, I can put a little tape on that wire, keep it nice and secure, make sure you've got full mobility still, you don't want to get snagged. And then you take your headphone extension cable, plug it into your earbuds, and then plug it into either your computer headphone jack or your interface headphone jack. Now you're ready to record your vocal audio separate from your tracks. All right, so now we're looking at GarageBand. You'll notice I've got 2 tracks set up. One is the instrumental track. That's just where I've dragged my accompaniment track into GarageBand. You'll notice I've started it around 4 bars into the timeline. That's about 8 to 10 seconds. And I've given myself that time because I'm going to need it to hit record on GarageBand, hit record on the camera, slate, and then clap. Now that clap is the most important part because that's how we're going to time align all of this, which brings me to the other track, the computer mic track, which is only a reference track. We're not going to use it in the end product. It's just how we're going to align the audio from our camera with the audio on the computer. And now we're ready to record. So we're going to make sure the computer mic track is selected, and then we're going to hit record on both our camera and on GarageBand. Once we've done that, we've got our 8 to 10 second window to make sure we say, take 1, and then we awkwardly wait until the music starts. And then you get to sing your brains out, and you repeat the process as many times as you want. When you're done, you choose your favorite video and you import it into your computer. And then once it's on your computer, you just drag and drop it directly into GarageBand. And that looks a little something like this. You'll see a 3rd track has been created at the top and a movie viewer has been opened. Now, if I zoom in, you can see where I slate and a big peak where I clapped. You'll also see that same peak on the computer mic reference track. So all I have to do to time align is drag both the computer mic reference track and the instrumental track together over until those peaks are perfectly aligned. After that, you can go ahead and mute your computer mic reference track because your video and your instrumental track are now aligned. Now you can use your virtual volume faders to balance your isolated vocal with the accompaniment track. After you've done that, take a look at the EQ on your isolated vocal track. I usually like to add a high-pass filter and roll off some of those really low rumbly frequencies. It makes for a cleaner tape. Then you can add a little compression if you want, but stay away from reverb, delay, and certainly don't use any kind of auto-tune. If it sounds too good, people are going to think it's fake. Now that everything sounds balanced and like it did in the room, all you have to do is go to File, Movie, and Export Audio to Movie. That'll save it as a brand new file with your balanced audio built in. Now all you have to do is use your favorite video editor to trim both ends of the clip and add a contact slide. All right, time for a quick comparison. This is what it sounds like when I play the track through speakers and record only on my phone.
I'm alive, yeah, yeah. I'm alive, I'm alive.
Now let's compare that to recording isolated vocals and balancing in post.
I'm alive, yeah, yeah. I'm alive, I'm alive. I'm alive, I'm alive.
And that's how you can get a really well-balanced self-tape without spending a bunch of money on things like microphones. But if you did want to go the extra mile and buy an external microphone, all of the same concepts still apply. Just make sure it's on a stand and make sure it's out of the shot. I hope someone learned something from this. If anyone has any questions, feel free to message me on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Other than that, stay in, stay safe, get to work, and book all the jobs.